No. We need to convene the McLeod County Board of Commissioners on February 15th, 2022. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Again, good morning, everyone. We're going to start out with employee recognitions this morning, and I'll turn it over to Hannah.
Awesome.
Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Wonderful to be here this morning, especially as we're recognizing some significant years of service. In 2021, 64 McLeod counties celebrated milestone years of service, ranging from 1 year to 45 years of service in McLeod County. And this is between January 2021 and December 2021. On behalf of administration and the Board of Commissioners and all of us in McLeod County, we just want to take a moment to say thank you and recognize all of these public service professionals. In this room today, we've invited folks who have 20 plus years of service at McLeod County who are recognizing that in 2021. We have folks in the room who are celebrating 20 years, 25 years, 30, 35, 40, and 45 years of dedication to McLeod County. In combination, this group of folks are celebrating a total of 340 years of dedication to McLeod County. So that is a lot of years. Working for local government gives opportunities for folks to improve lives in McLeod County community every single day. So the efforts and expertise of these employees make an everyday impact on the residents' health, safety, and quality of life. So at this time, I'm going to present those that are in the room today and also recognize a few folks were not able to show up. As I say your name, first of all, thanks for being here today. Sometimes being recognized can be a little bit challenging, but we really appreciate those of you that were able to show up today. It means a lot to us to have you here. So as I call your name, you can stand on up. We're going to head over. Sheila will hand you your award. And then we're going to take a group photo with all of the commissioners and those in attendance as well. Unless there's any words from the board before we call folks up today.
I have a word or two, but I was going to wait till after we kind of ran through them. But
yeah, perfect. Well, we'll invite people up, and then we'll do a little applause at the end. In the room today, we have Lisa Becker, who's with the Health and Human Services Department. Lisa, you can come on up. Lisa has 20 years of service with McLeod County. Up next, we have John Brunkhorst. You can stay here, Lisa, if that's okay. We have John Brunkhorst, who's our Public Works Department, who also has 20 years of service with McLeod County. Next, we have Heidi Tagg, who is with our Health and Human Services Department, who also has 20 years of service with McLeod County. Not in the room today, but I do want to just recognize we have three more employees who are celebrating their 20 years. We have Lisa Eistad, Teresa Hausnick, and Craig Rosso, who are not here today, but they all have 20 years of service this year with McLeod County. For our 25 years of service, both of these folks were also not able to join us, but we have Doug Munch, who is in our jail and law enforcement center, and also Brenda Polkerbeck, who is on our IT team under administration.
You want to specify that Doug Munch is not in jail doing time?
Thank you. Doug is very much not in jail, but he is serving the jail. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
I appreciate that clarification.
Yeah. And then we do have some of our folks who are celebrating 30 years today in the room. Karen Kohler-Nelson from our Health and Human Services Department is celebrating 30 years. We also have Lisa Waller-Marsh, who's celebrating 30 years from Health and Human Services. And then Chrissy Christensen was not able to join us, but he's with our Public Works Department and our GIS manager. Celebrating 35 years of service, we have Doug Clark in the room today, who's with our Public Works Department. And then last but certainly not least, we have our first ever 45 years of service to McLeod County. This is the longest standing employee that we've had, and that is Jenny Kotke. Let's give her a round of applause. So again, we just want to say thank you for being here. Thank you for your service and dedication. And if we do, maybe this is a little, as you're all standing there, is there any words from the board, anything like you'd like to say?
Well, I would congratulate everyone for putting in the time, and I really do personally appreciate the work that you guys do, especially the last couple of years. I mean, that doesn't come into 40 years and 30 years, but it's been challenging times, and you guys have really stood up. So I appreciate that. The only bad thing I can see is some of you guys I've known since you were pretty little. And that makes me feel old, but it's a good thing for the county that we have people working for us that have roots here. So thank you very much. Yeah. Anybody else?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. You said it very well, Mr. Chair.
And so let's do a quick group photo. We have the commissioners come on up in the front, and then we'll kind of do a quick photo here, and then we'll do some individual photos out in the hallway as well. That works too. Perfect. Oh, that looks great. I can see all your faces. Yep. Yeah, would you mind can you hold those up? That'd be awesome.
Will you make sure to get a picture of just my team too?
Yeah, for sure. Yep. Okay, 1, 2, 3. You guys look great. 1, 2, 3. Last one. Awesome. And let's give one more round of applause to everyone being here today. And then if I could have you guys head on over to Andrea over there. Thank you so much, commissioners. We appreciate it. Okay.
I'm so used to this. Thank you.
All right, again, thanks to all of them. I don't know that the public realizes sometimes the challenges that we have to go through to keep our employees happy, and so I really appreciate their service. Consideration of agenda items. Is there any additions or corrections?
No, Mr. Chair.
Is there a motion to approve?
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Nagel and seconded by Commissioner Luthens to approve the agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda. Any additions or corrections to it? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Motion made by Commissioner Small, seconded by Commissioner Luthens to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. COVID-19. Barrett. I'm waiting for the day we don't have to do this.
I am too, Mr. Chair. I was just thinking about that this morning. My update today, as of yesterday, February 14th, happy belated Valentine's Day, everyone. The county has had 10,245 positive cases of COVID-19. As you can see, we have moved past the 10,000 mark, which is pretty significant. There have been 325 new cases in the past 14 days. 32 of these cases were cases of reinfection. Of the new cases, 11 people needed to be hospitalized and 0 were admitted to the ICU. We currently have 107 active cases that require isolation. And unfortunately, I need to report that we have 101 COVID-19 related deaths since the start of the pandemic, which is 3 more since my last report 2 weeks ago. As always, it's important to point out that these numbers only include the tests that are reported to the Minnesota Department of Health. They do not include people reporting positive who are taking at-home or self-testing. Also, please remember to check out our COVID-19 dashboard on our website for more up-to-date statistics. Here at the county, we have requested 1,000 over-the-counter kits and anticipate that they will be delivered in the next couple weeks. They are intended to be used for individuals experiencing financial burdens or have trouble accessing tests. We are working on a distribution plan to get them out to organizations, which we've used in the past, and that has been successful. We also have received 6,000 KN99 masks, which have been distributed to all the city offices within the county for further distribution, which seems to be going well. So if you or an organization you know of is looking for a protective mask, please reach out to your local city office to get one of those. COVID-19 testing continues at the Hutchinson Armory Thursdays and Fridays. Homeland Health is now staffing the Armory as National Guard staff have been redeployed to other work. As far as our vaccination efforts, we continue to hold vaccination clinics here at the McLeod County Government Center. To date, we've held 93 vaccination clinics and administered 10,930 doses. We offer first doses, second doses, third doses, boosters of Pfizer and Moderna. We have a vaccine clinic scheduled this week for Thursday. Again, go to the website if you are interested in registering. We held one vaccination clinic at Ridgewater per the request for students and staff, which went really well. We will be going back on February 23rd to administer the second dose. I'm excited to help in that way. And as far as our vaccination statistics, we are holding firm at 59.8% of people in McLeod County have received at least one dose of the vaccine. Any questions for me?
Any questions for Barrett? I don't have any. Just
Right.
Thanks for the information. And
You're welcome. Thank you.
Sheila, do you have some updates?
Thank you. I just wanted to quickly give a update on the American Rescue Plan Act funds. We continue to work through our Coronavirus Relief Fund Committee. Most recently, we met again with the township, you know that, but we met also with some public safety officials. Myself, Sheriff Langenfeld, and Liz Danielson took the information from the group, and also Jerry Palman and Lori Chuchka joined us, and we joined with all of our cities in McLeod County to talk about the public safety allowable expenditures and are looking at the armor radios as a project that the county may approach. It was a good meeting in Hutchinson last week, so we'll bring that information back to our committee. Again, we have through December 31st, 2026 to spend those dollars, but they have to be allocated by December 31st, 2024. That's all I have today. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheila. Any questions for her?
What is the number that we're dealing with?
The initial number is somewhere around $6.7 million. I don't have it in front of me. We've received half of that distribution. I believe we will receive the other half in or around May. That may or may not be correct. However, there's interest in there as well. So Colleen has been keeping track of that, giving regular updates to the relief committee. I can send you the number.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We are, Commissioner, we have a little more time this time than we had with the CRF money. I mean, so we're working very hard to make sure we vent all our avenues and make sure we get it in the right place that does the most good. So, move on to number 5, County Recorder. We're today to consider Resolution 22 CB14. Who? Mike, are you going to explain that, or?
Mr. Chair, just quickly, Lynette Schrupp is not feeling well today, so that's not why she's not here. So she had asked yesterday if we could cover this for her, too. She just wanted to let you know why she is not here. She's okay, though, but.
I mean, I can read through what we have on the agenda, and I have no problem doing that, but Mike has a better way of articulating what we're really here to do, so.
Well, one of the options that you have is when you have a vacant position, and you have that now in the county recorder's position, is to determine whether or not that ought to be an elective or an appointive position. The way to get that in front of you is to do what we did about a month ago, and that is that passed the resolution that allowed us to publish notice of that. There was published notice giving the public the information that you are considering that, turning the recorder position into appointed rather than elective. Then you have to have a hearing, and prior to acting on the resolution, you ought to seek public input, and then you ought to either pass it or reject it. For it to pass, it takes a 4-1 vote or greater.
Mr. Chair, would you like me to read the item?
Go ahead.
Okay.
And then I'll take questions, if any of the board has questions.
So item A is consider adopting resolution 22-CB-4, creating the office of appointed McLeod County Recorder and eliminating the office of elected McLeod County Recorder to be effective January 2nd, 2023, or such earlier date if the office becomes vacant.
All right, any comments or questions?
Just a couple of notes. Number one, that will still be the county recorder. That person will still have a term of office of 4 years. So it's not like it becomes a regular employee. It becomes an employee much like what you have as your county assessor, as your county zoning administrator, as your veteran service officer. It becomes an appointed county official.
So, Mr. Young, it is required by statute to have a county recorder.
Yes.
That someone is appointed as a county recorder. A person can be more than one thing. That isn't what we're proposing. However, you have to have a recorder, correct?
Yeah. And, well, you have to have somebody doing the duties of that. You are free to combine that office with one of the other elective offices, and the ones that they specifically talk about are the auditor and the treasurer, but I don't think that that's under consideration now.
Well, we have them combined already, and we did have short discussions on that, but
Mr. Chair, we aren't requesting any change with the auditor treasurer at this time from administration, at least.
any questions from the board or comments? I guess I've always made a practice of just telling it how it is. I mean, there was a time earlier in my life I probably wouldn't have been in favor of doing an appointed versus elected, but after I became a commissioner, it's a struggle to find qualified people. Not that you can't get one by an election, but you can also get one that is not as qualified as you'd like them to be or realize what they're getting into. So my feelings about this has been that I believe that the board and the administration should be able to vet this position and try to appoint the best person for that job. And as far as the comments that I have really gotten zero on this, even after we had when we proposed to look at it, I had zero comments on it. And again, I think moving forward, you need to hold your board of commissioners accountable. In all facets, times are changing so much. I mean, I grew up in a whole different world, and we need qualified staff that really knows what they're doing. So I guess I've said enough. If the rest of the commissioners have any ideas, that's my position. It's changed over the years, and I think it's a good position. But
I can add a few things in there. I think one of the statements we want to get out there is that our current standing of our recorder's office is in excellent shape. So it's not like we're not looking for change because of any issues there. Mrs. Trump has done a fantastic job of leading that department and making it very effective. But for years we have talked about this opportunity as we've looked and how to condense departments, limit department heads, and if we are able to make this position appointed, it does give us the opportunity to more embed that department within some structuring, so that we continue to look at at reducing the number of department heads and making some more efficiencies that way. But I have not received any negative feedback, actually feedback either way, and so I think that I'm going to maintain standing in support of this. I think it is a good way to be able to fill that position moving forward.
Any other board members wish to ask a question or comment?
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
I have received some feedback, and it's been positive in the sense that it makes sense to look at it this time because of the retirement or the attrition that has went on. They were happy that we were, and I had a few, believe it or not. I seem to get the least amount of comments, but this time I win. They're happy how we were doing it, not in the middle of an election cycle or going about it that way. So I also be in support of it as we proceed here this morning.
And I'll just again echo that we've talked about this for a number of years that I've been in, and this just came about itself. Lynette Schrupp decided not to run, so it just came to be, and it's a good time. Its timing was good, so that's what brought us here. Board
Mr.
members,
Chair, sorry, one more thing just for the board to know with your vote. If, as it's shown, if you choose to appoint this position, I think our intention would be through administration to post this job internally and externally for applicants. And like Commissioner Wright said, we have a very good department right now, several qualified staff. Lynette has done an excellent job of training her staff and making sure that they have transferable skills and can cover each other's duties. So if there are any questions about that, let us know, please.
And before we go on, is there any public comment or questions from the public? You see none?
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
with the reasoning that's been stated, I will move Resolution 22-CB-14, creation of an Office of Appointed McLeod County Recorder.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Smalls to adopt the resolution,
I'll second it.
seconded by Commissioner Luthens.
And if you could have a roll call vote, please.
Is there any more discussion, questions? Hearing none on roll call, Commissioner Luthens,
Yes.
Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Kruger is yes, Commissioner Nagel,
Yes.
Commissioner Smalls.
Yes.
Resolution passes 5-0.
Thank you.
All right, Recorder's Office, and you said Lynette was not here. Are you taking, okay, go
I
ahead.
am. Item A, consider approval to increase the amount of cash in the 2 cash drawers in the Recorder's Office by $100 each for a total increase of $200 using funds from the Recorder's budget. The Recorder's Office has had difficulties with making change at times with the current amount of $100 in each drawer.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Nagel, seconded by Commissioner Smalls. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Number 7, Sheriff's Office, Tim. Good morning.
Good morning. I have 2 items for you. The first one is to consider approval of an unpaid leave for an absence of a correctional officer from May 16th, 2022 to July 8th, 2022. This employee is attending the skills program, moving towards her post license, and needs this amount of time off.
Comments or questions from the board? Motion made by Commissioner Wright to approve. Seconded by Commissioner Nagel. Any more discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Thank you. Second item is to consider approval to purchase computer software and training from Brite Incorporated of New Jersey for a cost of $10,065, with funds coming from the Sheriff's Office budget. This software will be used to retrieve digital evidence from cell phones that are collected during investigations. In the past, we have utilized different agencies to assist with this, but the frequency of using the technology has increased. In the past year, we've used it approximately 25 different times. The Sheriff's Office will also use the software to assist other agencies within McLeod County with their investigations. This software will require additional out-of-state training. That is yet to be determined. We're trying to wait to see if we can get one closer. Right now, the closest one is Illinois, but they typically will schedule something in Wisconsin or at least a little closer to us, and that'll be covered with the money that was donated to us from the estate of Miss Nemitz.
Is there any questions for Tim? I mean, I understand it, and we all watch too much at least I do. I watch too many TV shows and see how that all works. But is there a little more? How does it help you? I mean, as far as a local sheriff's department with the cities you work with, how does it really help you?
Technology like this can't be utilized without search warrants. So the detectives or deputies have to apply for the search warrants once we have the phones, and then it's a matter of plugging it in, let the program run its course, and then you pull the data out of it. You see Google searches, text messages, that kind of stuff is all the information you get. You can tell if somebody would be texting or watching a video if it would involve a fatal accident or something like that.
Any other questions for Tim?
Mr. Chair, move approval of a request.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Schmalz to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Luthens. Any more discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Public Works, John.
Good morning.
Good morning, John.
Item A is to consider adopting Resolution 22 CB15. This is a resolution that prioritizes our bridge replacements, and we seek outside funding, state aid funding for that. That resolution is required by MnDOT and is used to gauge the funding around the state that's needed every year when they go to the legislature and hope to receive more bridge bond funds. Currently on that list, we have a bridge in Acoma Township, which is actually going to be funded here this summer, most likely. County Road 57, there's a bridge that's in need of replacement. County Road 13, County Road 17, and County Road 74. Most of those are old timber bridges that are really getting tired, and we want to get plans underway on those and get them on the shelf at MnDOT in hopes of state bond funds someday, and that resolution is required for that.
So just
Bridges are tired?
Yeah, they're tired. Yeah.
Just to be clear on this, when we pass this resolution, basically what you're doing is giving them a list of prioritizing bridges, and you're going to try to get some aid to do them.
Right. So statewide, the state aid office wants these resolutions from all the counties so they can gauge how much is needed. So they go to the legislature every year and they ask for 60, 70 million, whatever it might be. So there's always a big pile of bridges on the shelf at MnDOT waiting for this funding. So for us to get these, starting to work on these now and get them on the shelf, waiting for funding, that'd be our goal. I would hope within a couple of years we could fund a lot of these.
Because it can be up to a 3-4 year.
Oh,
wait,
absolutely,
right?
yeah.
Because the Acoma one, I think that was 4, maybe 5 years.
Yeah, and the Acoma's a little different because that's township bridge funds, which is a more stable funding. These other ones would be purely either county levy money or the bridge bond funds. Typically, the bridge bond funds fund about the main participating items of the bridge. So it's definitely good to get bond funds for these. And the legislature's been pretty good about funding that every year. It's never enough, but you always want more money. But
I know the list of bridges across the state are becoming longer and longer. Now, is this usually is it matching funds sometimes, or do you work together if we can't get a full funding, or how does that work?
Yeah, these would be matching local funds for the county roads. The state aid funds, we could use our state aid money for those, and then typically they fund only half of the eligible items with the bridge bond funds, and then we supplement with state aid. But if it's county bridge, then they would fund up to 100% of the main bridge components. So we'd still have a little bit of county funds on the approach grading and the stuff leading up to the bridge.
Any more questions for John?
Mr. Chair, I'll move Resolution 22-CB-15.
Motion's made by Commissioner Smalls to approve the resolution. Is there a second? I'll second it. Any more discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item B, we'd like to consider authorizing Public Works, to have you authorize Public Works to proceed with bid letting dates for the following 2022 construction projects. All of these funded with various funds from our construction budget. So the county projects for the year are annual countywide pavement marking, which is CP 2201. CP 2202 is a countywide seal coat program. 03 is the countywide bridge deck maintenance. And CP 227101, that's the bridge deck overlay on County Road 71. That's the bridge to the landfill. For state aid projects, we're looking at bituminous overlay on County Road 13 from Sibley County up to 212. That's about 7.4 miles. That would be SAP 43613-006. And then the Acoma Township Bridge I mentioned, SAP 4359904. And again, that is real close to getting funded with that. I checked with state aid, and that one will get funding as soon as we get the plans sent in, which are due back from the consultant here very shortly. And then again, that one will be contingent upon Acoma approval, which we anticipate. And then the final project is SP 43070-017, which is our countywide 6-inch edge line pavement marking. We've done those in the past. That's funded with the Highway Safety Improvement Program money, or that HSIP program.
All right, we've talked in the past and asked John to prioritize this list, and I don't know, has anyone got any questions on how he's done this, or how?
I'd like to add to follow to this. I think within next couple months we'll get together as another separate 5-year plan workshop, and then look at the out years again, similar to what we've done last year.
And I talked to you earlier, John, that in Helen Township, or in my district, I have Diamond, that we've basically taken out the railroad crossing, and we have people anxious for us to do something on that road. You just want to comment on that?
Sure.
I mean, it's not in here, and it doesn't. It's a small project, but I want to assure that we are working on it one way or another to grind it back or do something.
Yeah. So looking at on the north end, especially looking at the volume of the road and the condition of it, I think the best thing would be to reclaim it back to a mixture of gravel recycled material. We got quotes last year on that, if you remember, and they were real high. This year, so we decided to come back this year, since we have the big concrete project going on adjacent to that. We'd like to work with them and get a quote for that, to see what that would be, or even solicit quotes again, and to reclaim that back to gravel and then maintain it as a gravel road. Whatever happens to it down the road, it's just more. I think it makes more sense for it to be gravel for the maintenance of it and everything.
Well, the road's in bad shape. There's no secret about that. I mean, it's shot, at my words, but what we have, there's no secret that we've talked with the township about turning it back, and if we were, they don't want it hard surfaced anyway. So I don't know. The reason I brought it up is I want a plan that we can put out there, whatever that plan is. Sorry, jeez, first time I did that. But so we're moving forward with a plan, whatever that plan is, and maintain it to that, whatever that ability is. So.
Yeah, and we've, as far as the turn back discussions, we've had discussions like you said, and they were, the last we heard from the township, they were working with their township attorney, and then we haven't heard from them since that time. So I guess we could reach back to them on that and see where that's at. But as far as the other portion of it, yeah, we'd like to get some quotes for another, see what it would be to reclaim that.
And again, it wasn't in on the list. It was just a comment to assure that we are going to continue working on that road. So I'd entertain a motion for.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Wright and seconded by Commissioner Nagel to approve the authorizing Public Works to proceed with the bid letting. Any more discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item C is to consider award of the Silver Lake Area Transportation Services, or our GATS shop cold storage building that we'd like to construct. Low bid was Ebert Construction out of Corcoran, Minnesota. Low bid of $297,700. Other bids were from RAM with $304,080, up to a high bid of $394,000 from Ultra Concrete. Ebert Construction, they did do our Hatch Temper Storage a number of years back. That's the warm storage building adjacent to Adams Street, just to the south of the main building there, and they did a good job on that. It's a good reputable contractor. So I think given the climate we're in with the steel and everything else for delivery and materials, we got a good price on that for that building. So we recommend award to Ebert.
Is there any questions for John? I mean, where does this put us? And I guess I'd like to comment. We went through this and tried to. Unfortunately, costs are very high, but we've cut this back to basically what we just needed. I don't know if you want to comment on that or.
Well, this will replace, so the current highway shop on the North Complex at Glencoe. There's a cold storage facility there, which is very old and tired, and that's that was sold with that property. So this site or this cold storage building would basically replace the cold storage for that.
Right, and we aren't. I mean, it's not fully. We cut the building back as best we could. I mean, we're putting just what we need. It's half cemented. Am I right there?
Yeah. Well, and I could give you. So, for example, with the cold storage building, we got in the wintertime, it's primarily for the winter storage, but we got 5 tractors in there with mowers, spare mowers, our self-propelled broom, the hydro seeder, the truck broom, box patcher, skid steer attachments, snow blower in the summer, spare tires, erosion control materials, barricade, sandbags, some of that stuff. So the one now is very full. This one here would be a little bit bigger. This would also have, like you mentioned, it is half of it would just be a reclaimed bituminous floor. Half of it would have a concrete floor, and that portion of the concrete primarily for storage of cold mix, cold winter patching material. Right now at the old site, there is a small building, separate building that we use to house that, and we wouldn't need that anymore. It would go in this cold storage as well.
Questions for John?
Question.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
With the local bidding, it would be nice if we stayed in the county.
Commissioner, you are not allowed to take that into consideration. Period.
I can comment on that, though. I sent John, or we talked about it. Without getting into a lot of detail, we did some recommendations and made sure our website had it all on there on what we needed. So and I personally encourage some locals to bid it. So it is. I mean, you want to comment more on it?
Well, I can. I guess I'll just add that RAM is obviously from Winstead on there. Lester Buildings, we worked with them throughout the whole process with fitting our plan to what they can provide, make sure everybody can provide apples to apples stuff. I was surprised Lester's didn't bid, but I know their window was getting tight this summer, so that might be why they didn't bid. Maybe they're selling some of the materials to one of these other folks that bid. I'm not sure, but I think we got good bids looking at the numbers of them, and we have no reason to reject Ebert Construction. They're a responsible bidder. They've done good work for us, and if you do that, I think, like Mr. Young said, I think you open yourself up for some litigation and stuff. Because
in general,
not just litigation, but you will lose the litigation. You're required to get the best deal for the taxpayer, and you are not allowed to do preference for local bidders. Period.
No, and I don't know if you can expand on that. There's a lot of times people don't understand that, but what we're required to do, unless there is something wrong with the bidder or that they've proven to be unreliable. Is that a good?
Well, and even then, so if they are not a responsible bidder, we have the right to assert that they are not a responsible bidder. They have a right to a due process hearing to contest whether or not they're a responsible bidder or not. And then there would be a hearing in front of an administrative law judge. What makes a person an irresponsible bidder? let's say that they get a bid, and then they walk away without doing anything. That's what the performance and the payment bonds are for, but if they've done it to us once, then shame on them. If they do it twice, then shame on us. And we have a right to declare them an irresponsible bidder.
Thank you, Mike. And I've done it in different things. I mean, I've investigated this to the best of my knowledge on what we can and can't do, because I do, like Commissioner Wilson said, I really encourage local people, but it is what it is. I hate to use that, but you hire these people and they sometimes they bunch the bids up, but coming to this one, I worked with John on getting these out, and they read as they are, and I guess there's not much more I can say. Commissioner Smalls?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, a question I had, John, was with the bids that are provided, are we protected as far as cost or price increases with that the bid price?
Once they lock their once we award the bids to them, they're going to work with their suppliers right away and lock in. If there's anything unforeseen that we didn't anticipate, I think we would be open to that. But right now, I think we're all covered with that stuff. Yeah, as long as we stick with our, the specs that we had out there and don't do any change orders or additions, which are always subject to additions. But yeah, I believe we are.
I got a last comment. I mean, we looked at this, we talked about it and looked at it through, and there's ups and downs in it, but I just want to remind everyone that we did sell the North Complex where the existing transportation building is. We did good on that, got it back on the test rolls. This property is up at Slats, already on property that we're not taking any newer property off the tax roll, so I'd like to say we've done our due diligence on doing the right things for a long term. So I guess that's all I have to say.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, this item and the one that follows are both part of replacing what no longer exists, which is storage for our highway department and also a presence in the Blanco area. So this follows a plan that we've talked about. So I'll make a motion to approve and award that bid to Eberts.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Wright and seconded by Commissioner Smalls to approve the low bid to Eberts. Any other discussion?
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
Just to remind everybody, this seems like we're just doing this right now. It's been in several workshops and several discussions. I don't know for how long, at least 6 to 8 months.
Yeah.
That, Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
I'd just like to add, I think, John and his staff have looked at this from all different directions as far as the size of the building, the type of the building they wanted, where the building would be located, and on that basis, I trust their judgment, and I think it's a good plan moving forward.
Yeah, they've looked within budgeting, and again, I go out long term, so long term looks good. Any more discussion? Any questions? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And item D then is to consider authorizing Public Works to solicit for a construction manager / architect services to draft plans and get a detailed cost estimate for a shop that would be located on the Glencoe Area Transportation Services property, which is the current shared MnDOT and City of Glencoe maintenance site near Seneca. We learned, we've been working with MnDOT for a little while on that property. We learned from MnDOT recently that they are open to allowing us to have a footprint on that GAT site for a highway shop. City of Glencoe is concurred with that too, so we'll be able to have a footprint on there at no cost to McLeod County. So that is that's a big cost savings right there with not needing additional land. It's land currently being utilized by those folks. One more benefit of that site is that's where our current salt and sand is. So today we always come across town from the North Complex to that site to load up for snow and ice, and now that'll be closer. So that's more economical and efficient. And I think in the big scheme of partnerships and everything, it looks real good with the three entities there, similar to what we have at Hutchinson at the HATS facility, which has worked out well. This will be a standalone highway shop for us, but there's always sharing opportunities with equipment and everything else around the site. So, but in order to get a real detailed cost for that, we really need to have an architect or a construction manager on board to help with that.
And again, that's what this means for today, is to get a manager, look at our costs and our options and what it looks like. And again, the area, again, is already government property, and it's not going to take away from a tax base. And we are sharing that. The efficiency there on having your own salt shed and chemical areas is a great help to all of them. I mean, the computers nowadays you can load that tell the weights, and everything is assigned to different numbers that covers the state, the city, the county. It'll efficiency. I hate to keep using the word, but it is efficient.
Yeah, so this step we'll solicit some proposals from various, there's been a lot of construction management firms that are interested in this, some local, some which we've worked with in the past. So we'll bring those, look at those, bring them back to the board, and then you guys have an opportunity at that time to go forward with one of those firms, and then they'll develop a cost estimate and so forth. In the meantime, hopefully, we'll hear back from MnDOT on their, right now it's down at their central office at their property conveyance unit where they have to do a formal easement type agreement to be able to release that property, but that's still coming. But there's various steps along the way where you guys have an opportunity to say yes or no. Once we get the cost estimate back, you have the opportunity to say, yeah, let's go out for bids. And at that time, we see the bids and we don't like them, you guys have the opportunity to shuffle the deck again or do whatever. So there's not your approval today doesn't say shall be a shop at GATS. It'll be a long process.
That is one thing that I'd have had comments on from most everyone is to make sure we keep a shop, a service here in Glencoe or in this district. It saves time on service. When they have to roll out, it adds 45 minutes to an hour to move it somewhere else. So there's been a lot of comments to me to make sure we keep one here. And this, again, I'd like to think we're doing our due diligence. So.
Yeah, I think definitely keeping the shop here will maintain the service levels, not only for obviously the snow and ice, but oftentimes there's emergency response in the rare occasion where they're asked to take out an ambulance or stuff like that. So that's true.
Any questions for John?
Mr. Chair, John, how many doors or how many trucks are you planning on?
So it'd be 3 to 4 plow trucks out of that facility, and then a pickup truck or two, but primarily for just snow and winter operations. So 3 to 4 trucks. The Slats building right now, that shop is 90 by 135. Yep. This one we're looking at around 90 by 100. We're looking at options for drive-through like we have at Slats, but also looking at options for the pull in and back out with that configuration too. That's what we'll look at.
All right. Thank you.
Any other questions? Is there a motion?
To approve.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Wright and seconded by Commissioner Luthens to authorize Public Works to solicit for construction manager and architect services. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Did you have one more area, John, on the highway safety?
I almost forgot. Yeah, I know, an important one too. I just wanted to let you know, this is dealing with the County Road 115 and 25 Jefferson intersection in Hutchinson. If you recall, we went through some open houses a while back, and then we had, long story short, it came down to a roundabout as the configuration for that site. We did apply for highway safety improvement funding for that. And this cycle's solicitation announcements just came out, and we did receive $500,000 in HSIP for that project. So that'll help our state aid funds a little bit on that. So I wanted to make sure we get that out there, tell you guys.
Any questions?
No.
Thank you, John. Thanks
Yep.
for your.
We don't need a motion, I assume you accept it, right?
That will take it.
County Attorney, Mike.
Mr. Chair and members of the board, we had one of our assistant county attorneys get deployed to the Mideast last year, and his deployment was from March 7th for 400 days, which was roughly through April 7th. To replace him, we hired an assistant county attorney on a one-year basis, and that person was hired on the 21st of April, and so his employment is guaranteed, according to what I told him, to April 20th. The person who was deployed has returned and has contacted me and said that he would like to come back to work as soon as he can. So the issue gets to be is I'm going to have one attorney more than you have authorized for a period of about 6 weeks. If you approve this, and it'll get back to where it should be about the 20th of April. There's plenty of work to be done, and I have actually a couple of special projects. We did go without one of our attorneys for 5 weeks between the deployment of the one and the hiring of the temporary assistant. So what I'm asking for is for permission to bring back our soldier, and he would come back on February 22nd and resume his employment with McLeod County. So just so you're aware, if you turn this down, then he doesn't get to come back until April 7th, which I don't think is the right thing to do to a returning soldier. But
Mr. Chair.
go ahead.
I just want to add, and I think that this may be in partly in the agenda, but our county attorney's office has had significant staffing shortages in their administrative support. Having another trained individual who is familiar with their caseload, and which would be Karen, who's been here since Zach's been out of office, would be very helpful to our county attorney's office right now during a time of need. It is not a very good time for them to go without another staff member. It will be difficult enough to have someone come back and not know what's going on, and that would require a lot of our county attorney's time. Instead, the temporary person who's here through April 7th could help transfer that information and take some of the workload off of our county attorney.
The temporary one is here through April 20th, not April 7th.
Thank you.
Bring it back. Move to approve.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Wright, seconded by Commissioner Nagel to bring them back, and with the dates that Mr. Young had said, I believe it was 20th of April. Is there any more discussion? I will make a comment that I know when Zach left, or when the county assistant left, I mean, it takes a while for everybody to catch up again, and I think the plan that you laid out is a good one. So, any more discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
County administration, review of calendars. Do you have anything to add before we go to the calendars?
I don't. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead. Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Our county workshop on the 1st. Next day, Prime West. And then we moved on to the following week, the 7th, Monday, MRC, and I think Doug was there and Commissioner Schmall. So we'll let them comment on it. And then I ended up on Friday, the 11th, driving to Marshall for the SMAMHC meeting. And that was a little interesting, a lot of people there, and another learning experience. Thank you.
Commissioner Wright?
Okay, after our last meeting, we had our board workshop. Then the next day was our meeting with the ARPA committee. On the 7th, about a strong half day with helping conduct interviews for the regional extension office as they're filling their horticulture specialist position. And it's the department head meeting on the 9th in Olivia, a meeting with judicial ditch number 1 as we approved 2 things for that ditch system, and that is a Renville, Meeker, McLeod. The first was a redetermination of benefits, and that was a very long project to get that one squared away. And the other was to merge the systems. JD1 is broken into 2 parts, more the upper end of the ditch than the lower end. McLeod County is on the lower end, and we do have landowners that receive a fair amount of flooding from that as it empties into the Crow River. But we did pass merging the systems. It just helps out a lot. Administratively, and also with that transparency piece, if there's something happening on the upper side, now those on the lower side are made aware. And also, I think I forgot, we had an administrative meeting at Solid Waste last week as well, and that's it for me.
Thank you. Mine was also the workshop after the last board meeting, and we had our ARPS Fund committee meeting on the 2nd. On the 3rd, I had Lower Minnesota, One Watershed, One Plan, and as time goes on, I'll give a better report on that. We're still in structuring, going through policies and laying out what we're going to do. It's just basically dotting I's and crossing T's, but as time moves on, when there's some substance, I'll report on that as well. On Monday the 7th, I had MRC meeting. We had a couple presentations. I guess the one that sits out to me the most in our discussions is we're trying to prioritize our legislative pushes, if you will, to our legislator to pass. The one thing that kept coming up was shortage of healthcare workers, whether it's in the hospitals or in the daycare or assisted living. Everyone's short. They're the legislature's trying to look at increasing the number of patients, clients that they can have. And I mean, I deal with some of this directly through relatives. I mean, it's already, the people working there are already at capacity or over. So my reason for bringing it up is it's a statewide issue, and again, we're trying to call our legislators. It's not just pay. I mean, obviously, pay has got something to do with it. The overall costs are astronomical, but it's the challenges that kind of work and finding workers that are qualified to do it that seems to be the bigger challenge. And obviously, that we had also some drainage issues in there as well. So aid to some of the mandates that the counties are required to do also was brought up again. I'll keep everyone updated as we get some reports back. And actually, I had some drainage phone calls that I had to deal with, and a agenda review on the 10th, and that brings us to today.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, I apologize if I'm a little harder to understand than normal. I had some dental work done yesterday, and I'm kind of struggling here. But after our last board meeting, the workshop was covered. I had some NACO phone calls scheduled. Nathan and I had a health insurance meeting. I was on the phone. He was at the meeting in Sibley County, along with some staff. Basically, the discussion is preparing for the upcoming year and what the insurance premiums may or may not be, and looking to what we will have or could have as we move forward. Thank you to administration. There was a budget meeting last week that I wasn't able to attend, but they had adapted to my schedule to make sure that I was in the loop on everything and was able to put in my input, and I appreciate that. And then just some Southwest, West Central phone calls that just needed to be done, but nothing significant from them.
Mr. Chair, since our last board meeting, like the rest of you have mentioned, we held a workshop And then it takes me to the 3rd of February. As Commissioner Luthens indicated, we had a Prime West Joint Powers Board meeting. It was a bit of a marathon meeting to partake in because part of it was because they canceled their January meeting completely because of the weather. So there was extra agenda items to deal with on the Prime West. The other thing that Prime West is dealing is, of course, the pending litigation that they feel they've been forced to pursue. And an update on that is that they've asked for a mediator to become involved to try and avoid the court system with that moving forward. The dispute surrounds DHS at the state level and the offering of plans at the county level. The following week, thanks to Zoom, on Monday the 7th, I could attend Sharing Hands Nurse Family Partnership. Again, Joint Powers Board committee that I serve on. I don't really have anything to explain. It was kind of business as usual. And as soon as that meeting ended, I hopped on the MRC meeting that was taking place. MRC is working to develop their legislative agenda for the session that we're in right now. And Dan Larson takes input from those of us that are on that meeting to see what direction he should be doing at the state legislature.
Commissioner, would you just comment on your statement that day you did state purchasing, you did comment against on Prime West, and that is that we did discuss that as well on an MRC meeting.
Yeah, and I think the rest of you heard that MRC is also looking at supporting Prime West's request in dealing with the DHS and the potential court action that could take place. Thanks for that addition, Commissioner Kruger. And that afternoon, we had a union labor negotiations meeting kind of to deal with something that came up, and a discussion was held. Later that week gets me to Thursday the 10th. Like the Commissioner Nagel has already mentioned, we had the McLeod Sibley Health Insurance Group meeting in Gaylord, and my takeaway on that was it's pretty much business as usual, and of course the transition, moving with Medica versus our previous carrier was discussed, and it seems like things are progressing as expected. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Sheila?
Nothing to add. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
If not, should we just move into the items then? Yes. Thank you.
Colleen Roback will be presenting the two financial items, A and B.
Good morning, Commissioners, Mr.
Good morning.
Chair. I'm here this morning to ask you to consider adopting Resolution 22 CB12 to make a temporary loan of $230,900 from the General Revenue Fund to the Ditch Fund to cover negative county and joint ditch fund balances dated December 31st, 2021. The interest was set at 3% at the public hearing on October 5th, 2021 for these loans.
Move to approve.
Motion made by Commissioner Wright and seconded by Commissioner Nagel. Is there any discussion? And this is not a surprise, just so people are aware.
We do this each year.
Right. Yep.
Because you can't have a negative balance at year end. So it's just, we usually fund it with the general fund. Sometimes there's other options, but in this case, we need to do this loan so that we don't have negative balances.
And it was anticipated, and that's why we set the interest rate at what it was done, and
Correct.
It's nothing out of the ordinary. Just wanted to make sure that was clear. Any other discussion or questions? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
The next thing I have on the agenda is for you to consider adopting Resolution 22 CB13, authorizing the acceptance of gifts and contributions in the amount of $51,850 for the year ended December 31st, 2021.
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
Move Resolution 22-CB-13.
Motion's been made to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Luthens. All All in favor of accepting the contributions and Resolution 22 CB 13, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution carries.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank
Item C, notification of board workshop following the board meeting on March 1st, 2022, here at the McLeod County Government Center, 520 Chandler Avenue North, Glencoe, Minnesota.
you. Okay, I have nothing else. Is there anything that's for the good of the county that's to be brought up? Open forum? Press relations? Rich, have you got anything for us? Thank you for coming. With that, I take a motion to recess the board until March 1st, 2022 at 9 a.m. here at the McLeod County Government Center, 520 Chandler Avenue North in Glencoe.
I so move.
Motion made by Commissioner Luthens. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Wright. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're recessed. Thank you.